What's up, Fred? Gangsta shit. To the West Coast. Niggas with hepatitis. Unauthorized, hard to move, arthritis, infected, selected, neglected, ejected.
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This is going to be another fragrance review I got for you guys. And today we're going to be taking a look at a fragrance from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. This one is called M7. Now, I've reviewed one other fragrance from YSL, and that was L'Homme. I reviewed that a while back. I believe my first year of doing video reviews. I actually own 7 in total from YSL. L'Homme, La Nuit de l'Homme, Rive Gauche, Live Jazz, Kouros, Abadi Kouros, and M7. Eventually, guys, I promise you I will review all of them. There are some other fragrances I'd like to get from this house. I think I'm good on the L'Homme flankers, but definitely some of their older fragrances I would like to check out, and even some of the stuff from their private line. M7 was released in 2002. I think it was one of the last fragrances under Tom Ford's direction at Yves Saint Laurent. The perfumer on this one, or perfumers, were Jacques Cavalier and Alberto Morales. I was able to get a 50 ml of this that was 90% full for $65 from Decant Shop. You know, there was a time when Adrienne was getting a lot of discontinued stuff, and she really was just really cool and letting me pick up a bunch of discontinued fragrances at cost for her. So, you know, that's how I sort of have stuff like Antidote and this and some other gems in my collection. Now, there is a reform of this, M7 Oud Absolute, and you can get that one super cheap. It's available for like $40 online. The original, this guy here, is now really expensive. I've seen it go for as much as $300 to $500 on eBay. It's really hard to find for a good price at this point. I'll let you know if I think it's worth seeking out, obviously. The notes on it are Italian bergamot, Sicilian mandarin, rosemary, oud, vetiver, ambergris, and musk. Now, I didn't get the box with this one, but the way this one looks is it really doesn't even say M7. It's this sort of like maroon, dark brown bottle, and on the bottom you've got M7, Yves Saint Laurent Eau de Toilette, and all that good stuff. And then the top comes off, doesn't even say M7 here either, and you got a fairly nice atomizer. I'd say I have about, there's a 50 ml, I'd say I have about 20 to 30 ml left. I've definitely used my fair share of this one, more so in testing than anything else. So what does this one smell like? This one is really a little bit of lore and legend in our community. This is a really, really good fragrance. You know, this is one of those scents that I smelled, and at first I didn't get it. You know, I, at the time, had been exposed to some pretty good oud fragrances by that point in my life, and this one really seemed mediocre to me and just not really fully developed. It didn't seem like a complete fragrance, and I kept wearing it and wearing it. I didn't want to review it right away, and the more that I wore it, the more of the sort of, I think, intention and genius of this fragrance sort of came to me, and I started to realize that this was almost the beta version of Oud Wood that would later come out in the Tom Ford Private Blend series. Oud Wood, if you've ever smelled that one, is a more refined, more nuanced version of this scent. I would guess that one was probably made with better materials. The way this one smells to me, I really don't get mandarin or bergamot when I spray this one on. As soon as it hits the skin, I smell oud, and it's an oud that's very distinct. And to me, what that oud smells like, and you've probably heard this before, and I think it's really true, is sort of like a cherry cough syrup, woody vibe. And I don't know if this is a synthetic oud or not, but I do know that there's a material called aloes wood that is made by Firmenich, and when I got that material, you know, because I mess around with making my own fragrances, I remember smelling it and be like, this smells exactly like M7. It's just, this smells of like a beautiful, rich, sherry cough syrup like oud, and there's an herbal hit of rosemary with that oud, sort of like a dried, almost brown rosemary. And then the base is really made up of ambergris and vetiver. It is exceptionally smooth. It's very refined, and there's a beautiful simplicity to this fragrance that I really appreciate. It's a linear composition, and I don't mind that because it's nice. I think you want that oud to last, and I don't think this one is as beastly as some other reviewers have said, but it'll definitely get you through a day, and it's going to project quite nicely in that time. I would say this is the fragrance that leans masculine. Of course, anyone can wear anything they want, and I think this is ideally a really good fragrance to wear in the springtime or fall of the office. You can wear this one dressed up, and I think you could certainly wear this one out on a date as well. What does this one smell like? Well, I really haven't smelled M7 Absolute enough to say if they match up. So I can't tell you that. I will try to get some of that and give another review on that, or talk about it maybe on sample shopping. But I would say that Oud Wood by Tom Ford is a better fragrance than this, and it's a cheaper fragrance than this because it's not been discontinued. I know it's been reformulated, but it smells like the 2.0 of this. More stuff added, refined, no more nuance, deeper, just better. And then there's a fragrance by House of Sillage called Number 0001, and that has that cherry cough syrup vibe as well. And I think those two really seem like they were heavily influenced by this one. If someone were trying to talk you into seeking this one out, I think they would tell you that it's a gorgeous fragrance, precursor to Oud Wood. Early genius of Tom Ford shines here, and it is absolutely a collector's item, this bottling. I think on the flip side, if someone were trying to talk you into skipping this one, they would tell you that it's just too expensive nowadays, and if you're really not collecting, why wouldn't you just get Oud Wood? For me, if you can grab this one, if you happen to see it at a store, like at some pharmacy or some mall kiosk, grab all of them, stock one and sell the rest. I think if this version of the scent was available at department stores, $70-$80 would be a steal here, and I would rate this fragrance as an 8.5 out of 10. But because it is now almost impossible to find this fragrance at a reasonable price, I have to drop it down to 6.5. There are so many amazing fragrances you can grab for $400 to $500, and the more that I mess around with making fragrances, the more that sort of disgusts me that fragrances are priced anything more than $400 or $500. But I do think it's really important to touch on the historical significance of this scent, because this really started the oud craze in the United States, and Tom Ford has to be given a lot of credit for identifying that trend and capitalizing on it. And I think that's a really cool thing about this fragrance as well, and I think we have to pay a little bit of homage there. So guys, that is my review of M7 by YSL. I'd love to know what you guys think of this one. Did you seek out a bottle? Do any of you guys have bottles? Are you searching for it actively? Are you good with M7 Absolute? Do you think it's worth the hype? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you later next week with more videos. Guys, obviously, my name is Maximilian.
Best believe the best, motherfuck the rest. What you supposed to be snatching? You come into a world of puncture hearts and jacking. Lethal, illegal, overseeing the overview like seagulls. Balls in your jaws on the hunt like balls.